Good morning, or possibly early afternoon. I don't know what time it is, but we have been having a wonderful morning in Würzburg today. So we took the train this morning, arrived around 10, and immediately met up with a couple of friends we have living here. So we had some coffee with them, we're catching up, and now they are showing us around Würzburg. So we have a couple of Würzburg experts showing us around, and right now we're walking along the river. It's absolutely beautiful. Right now we are headed to a bridge where apparently you can get some wine and you can taste some local wine, and it's quite a thing here, I think, for people who live in Würzburg. I'm not sure about how touristy it is exactly. Würzburg is interesting because you do have some tourists, but it's not necessarily, it's definitely not one of the main German cities to tour. So it's kind of a mix, but it feels very local, it feels very authentically German. So I'm quite excited. It also has a very religious past. There are a lot of religious buildings and there's a lot of religious significance. So the bridge is lined with, I believe, popes and religious figures, but now you just drink wine on it, so. Okay, I have been absolutely terrible about vlogging today so far, but we had a chill afternoon. We got some lunch, a late lunch, and I had my first savory waffle that I've ever had. I don't know really if that's a particularly German thing or if I've just not found them, but my first savory waffle, super good. Anyway, we've split off from our friends for just a couple of hours this afternoon. It's about 3:30 now, and we're going to visit the residence. Am I saying that properly? I'll just say it in English to be safe. The residence. I mentioned before, but I wasn't entirely sure about my details, but Würzburg used to be, can you even hear me right now? Anyway, Würzburg used to be a city for bishops. So it was very important for a lot of important people in the Catholic Church. So the residence used to be where bishops lived, and it's basically a palace. My husband is pointing out all the steps for me so I don't trip and kill myself vlogging. Anyway, we're going to visit that. It's apparently quite cool to see and quite beautiful. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but this morning we visited a chapel up at the top of the hill. Thankfully, our friends drove us there instead of having to walk, because after all the walking we did yesterday, I think we wouldn't have made it. But anyway, they drove us up there and it was quite pretty. The view was absolutely gorgeous. Alright, we've done a bit of research, and this palace was built in the mid-18th century by a prince bishop who apparently won a lot of money in a court case and decided he wanted something grand and that reflected his very important position. So he built something that was supposedly inspired by Versailles. I think I can see the resemblance. What do you guys think? Definitely not as grand. Apparently it was quite important as well. At the time, Würzburg was a very important city for the Catholic Church and for bishops and prince bishops, which is a special kind of bishop. It is now also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We just visited the inside of the palace, and unfortunately no pictures were allowed, no cameras, no nothing. So I couldn't even take it in. We had to drop off our bags. There were some very pretty decorations and paintings and rooms. It's really sad because a lot of it was destroyed in bombings in 1945, I believe. And they had actually pictures of after it was destroyed and all the reconstruction they had to do. It was really shocking and quite impressive. And now we are in the gardens where it is absolutely beautiful. It's been super hot since late morning all through this afternoon, and right now we kind of found a somewhat shady spot and we're just chilling a little bit. I'm definitely still feeling from yesterday after all the walking. All my muscles are on fire right now. We have a tendency on vacations to want to do so many things that we kind of forget to relax. So by the end of vacation, I'm more exhausted than I was at the beginning. Definitely worth it, but a little bit of chill time is also good. And then we're gonna meet back up with our friends, and I think we're gonna probably have a pint. I don't think I've actually had an entire beer since we've been in Germany this entire time. I've tried some sips of other people's, but I haven't actually had a beer to myself. So we need to do that. We need to get some food. We've looped back around to the bridge where we kind of started the afternoon in Würzburg. The bridge where earlier we had wine, way down at the other end. I confirmed a couple of details about this bridge before making this part of the vlog, because earlier I really was not sure, but the statues all along the bridge are actually not all religious figures. Some of them are saints, and some of them are just famous historical figures. Like right now, I am right by Charlemagne. Fun fact about one of the statues all the way at the other end, it's of Pippin the Short, who's Charlemagne's father. Würzburg was a place where a lot of activity around World War II happened, including a lot of air raids and bombings and things that kind of destroyed so much of the city, and so much of it has been reconstructed. But one of the things that happened also during the war was when the American soldiers were here, they apparently needed more space for a cannon or some sort of military equipment, so they knocked the statue of Pippin down at the other end. They just pushed it off the bridge apparently because they needed that space for something else. So poor statue. As far as the tradition of drinking wine on this bridge goes, that was actually a much more recent tradition. Apparently sometime in the 2000s that started, and now it's just a huge deal. There is a particular wine shop, and then of course a few others that sell wine. You can buy it and just come and stand on the bridge and drink your wine, which is actually really nice, especially on a day like this. Earlier it was quite warm, but now the wind is kind of picked up. You probably can hear that in this video. And the bridge is so crowded. It's so much more crowded now than it was earlier. All of the wine that is produced in this region is stored in bottles that are that shape. We are back at the hotel now. We took our train back from Würzburg to Frankfurt for the evening. I can honestly say that I have never participated in anything so German in my life. There was a festival going on, I think I mentioned it earlier in the vlog, but a very Bavarian, I guess, festival that happens, I think for a few days every summer, I think is what our friend said. Okay, a few weeks every summer. And it's super German, but even more so it's super Bavarian, and you can see from the clips like everybody's just having a fantastic time. It's actually really cool. We noticed like the band were older musicians, and among the crowd there were people who were like from kids age to very old people. It was just a celebration everybody could participate in. So it was a great way to finish out the day, and it felt just super authentic. Everybody around us was just very local, and it was really fun. On top of that, our friends from Würzburg gave us a gift. I mentioned earlier that all the wine from the region was in this shape of bottle, and now I actually have a bottle not only to show you guys but to keep for myself. Obviously I'm going to drink the wine, but I'm going to keep the bottle. So this is Bürgerspital. Did I say that correctly? Bürger. Okay. I don't actually have a German speaker, but
Peter.
I have someone who studied German at least, which is more than me. But it's a local wine. So yeah, I have this to drink when I'm back in Paris, and a bottle to keep. So that's amazing, and thank you so much to my friends who may or may not be watching this, but thank you if you are watching this. With that, I think it's time to wrap up this day. I actually am looking at myself in the viewfinder now, and I think I might have gotten a little bit of a sunburn on my nose. But yeah, so tomorrow is going to be a much more chill day. We're going to probably do a few more things in Frankfurt, and of course watch the World Cup game, which by the time you're watching this, you know the outcome, but at the time I'm actually recording this, I'm really rooting for France and crossing my fingers. So we're going to watch it, not in Paris, but in Germany. We'll either be greeted with happy French people or very sad French people when we get back to Paris tomorrow night. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for the evening, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.